Welcome to the Moving Up program presented by the Heartland Continuum of Care. Myself, Nick Dodson, the Housing Navigator. Just as a short intro, my name's Nick. I'm housed over at Helping Hands of Springfield, but I am the Housing Navigator for the Heartland Continuum of Care. I'm a resource for clients that are home insecure. I'm a resource for landlords. I'm a resource for your non-for-profit. I'm a jack of many trades and I'm here to help. So don't hesitate reaching out to me for anything along these lines as we go, okay? Appreciate everybody being here. I know everybody's got busy days, so I just am very grateful that people took the time out of their day to do this and to help spread the word about what's going on with this program and the small changes that have happened as well. All right, just a quick agenda. Welcome and introduction. Like I said earlier, please enter your name and the organization you represent in the chat. We're going to do a small program background, list the eligibility and ineligibility, the referral process, and the program documents needed. All right, the emergency housing voucher and program background. In the summer of 2021, the federal government passed the American Rescue Plan, which federally funded 70,000 emergency housing vouchers to be administered by the housing authorities and continuums around the country. Emergency housing vouchers are housing choice vouchers, previously called Section 8, streamlined housing opportunities to people identified as the most in need in our community. Now, they made 70,000 of these available for the country, and we received 37. We're hoping if we can utilize all 37 that we will get distributed more. Thus far, we've used about 13, so we're pretty excited to get more rolling. The first program was called the Moving On program. That's what many of you have already participated in. I've met you all, many of you from already. And what that was, the first phase of the EHVs was a Moving On strategy, which was designed to serve individuals in rapid rehousing and permanent supportive housing and spur system movement, opening up availability in these programs. So phase 2 is titled Moving Up, which is designed to serve individuals and families currently in emergency shelter, transitional housing within our community. Now, I want to reiterate that that's a very important part of this as well, that they must be within our community. Whenever they issue these vouchers, there was a very specific equation they used that serves our specific city and county. So these, I have had some folks reach out from other cities, states asking about this. This is specifically to serve individuals that have been within our service point or HMIS within the last 6 months. Who can utilize EHVs? EHVs are meant to assist people who are experiencing homelessness, fleeing or attempting to flee domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, stalking, or human trafficking, or were recently homeless or have a high risk of housing instability. So it's pretty broad. And please note over here on the right, as I said earlier, the individual or family must be working with a Sangamon County agency and has documented services delivered in homeless management information systems within the past 6 months. All right, eligibility. The individual or family has completed coordinated entry assessment and scores as eligible for rapid rehousing or permanent supportive housing. The individual or family is participating in the Moving Up strategy voluntarily. The individual or family is working with the Sangamon County agency documented in HMIS at least 6 months prior to referral or have the ability to prove Sangamon County residency in that same time span, who has capacity to offer following Moving Up services. The long story short, again, they must be folks that can prove residency in Springfield or within the service point within the last 6 months. The agency must have capacity to provide case management for 12 months. The case management is also participant driven. So you got to keep in mind that this is focused on the client, number one. We also must be using trauma-informed and strength-based approach to identify the inherent strengths of a person or family instead of a diagnosis or deficits, then build on those strengths to empower the household to succeed. This is very important. We also must offer appropriate levels of services, including education, income, mainstream benefits, legal aid, medical services, including physical, mental, substance use, and other programs that continue beyond this program. Case management should be flexible in intensity, offering only essential assistance until or unless the participant demonstrates the need for requests of agencies must include services in HMIS reporting. Ineligibility for moving up. So these are the list of things that you cannot be a part of the program with. If any household member has ever been convicted of drug-related criminal activity for manufacture or production of methamphetamine on premises of federal assisted housing. If any member of the household is subject to a lifetime registration requirement under a state sex offender registration program. If SHA determines that any household member is currently engaged in or has engaged within the previous 12 months, violent criminal activity or any other criminal activity which may threaten the health, safety, or right to peaceful enjoyment of the premises by other residents or persons residing in the immediate vicinity. So SHA does run a background check as well. Referral process. So let's say you're ready to roll and you think you've got somebody that might be ready to work with this program. Case managers must check client eligibility within the coordinated entry using the Moving Up assessment tool in Service Point. Our friend Tracy Cunningham with the email listed will be glad to load you up with that Moving Up assessment tool. She'll be glad to teach you a little about it, give you a little walkthrough. It's pretty straightforward. It's a scale of 1 to 5 from lowest to highest. And that score that comes from that assessment goes directly onto the application in a small square as well. So just keep that in mind for whenever you do the actual application.
Can I intervene just a second, Nick?
Please, I'd love for you to.
Okay. I do want to state that you don't have access to that tool unless you have a Moving Up program created. I have created, I think, 5 or 6 of them for some of the regular programs in our system, or from some of the regular agencies in our system. If you are on Service Point and do want this, you need to reach out to me so I can get you initially set up with a program and all of these assessment tools and things that you're going to need along with the training on that. Okie dokie. That's it.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Appreciate that. And as I said, if anything's confusing along the way, ask questions. Don't hesitate. I'm here to help in any way, shape, or form. But Tracy's email is right there on the slide right now if you'd like to write it down. So once you've done the assessment, case managers will complete the Moving Up application with the client and submit it to the housing navigator, which is me, nick@helpinghandsofspringfield.org, with the subject line Moving Up application, and ideally including the client's name makes it even easier for me to find it. The application must be signed by both the client and the case manager and will serve as the request for a referral. So we'll just scan and sign that and email it over to me, and that's when we can get the ball rolling. Service provider support will assist the client in completing the EHV paperwork, which is simply just the Moving Up application and the SHA paperwork. Work with the housing navigator to provide client with housing navigation services, viewing, and transportation. Provide owner conflict resolution together with the housing navigator. And as a reminder, I've said it before, but I'll say it again, services must be offered for a minimum of 12 months to the client. SHA orientation and application meeting. So I've got a great rapport with several of the people over at SHA, and we've got a great reoccurring weekly meeting. We meet every Tuesday from 2 to 4 p.m. in actually the back of the SHA. So when you pull into the parking lot, not the front entrance, but the back around the side is where we meet. You got to temp yourself. You got to type in your name. And then we actually have to fill out that Marigold SHA application that several of you might be familiar with. And if you're not, it's something you can get in advance and fill out as well. But required documents that you cannot move forward without are physical copies of the state ID, Social Security, birth certificate, and if there is any income or benefits the client has, we need those as well. So that's Social Security, disability, etc., anything along those lines. All right, so here's my contact info, and specifics are going to be in the chat with the links to the application and the actual policy. I'd love to answer any questions that anyone might have. I know this is fairly streamlined, but it's really quite that simple, honestly. Can I answer any questions that anybody might have, or does anything seem skipped over or confusing?
So I have a question. Are we done with the moving on assessments then, and now we're just using the moving up?
Tracy, would you like to answer that?
No,
I would say no.
yeah, no, the programs run concurrently. So if you
Yes.
have moving on candidates, please, by all means, continue to use that policy and that referral process for those clients.
Perfect, thank you.
I think the whole purpose is just to start that movement out of permanent with the bulk of them, and then we can move into phase 2. But like, you know, Josh says, it's both at the same time. So if you come up with someone else for moving on, by all means, proceed.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Nick, I have a question.
Absolutely.
Okay, now, my question is, if there is calls from other agencies for anybody to do CE on, so if they inquire about one of the vouchers, would I tell them, how do I navigate that?
I would be fine with you giving
Can you
them.
mute?
Yeah, if anybody can mute that's not, would be great.
Thank you.
If you want to send them directly to me, Yolanda, you don't need to navigate that. I'm glad to help work with them specifically on this wave, to where you're not trying to, you know, direct them specifically, because we have been getting folks from out of state, out of county, out of city,
Right.
calling around. I don't know if they're kind of just familiar with maybe hearing about the program, what's been going on, and seeing if there are any vouchers available, because I have definitely heard some folks elsewhere, but I'm glad to talk to them and deal with that as we get them. So feel free to just give them my direct contact.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe helpful to know both the moving on program and the moving up program are agency driven. You know, there really, as we've approached the needs in our community, we've really looked at the EHVs as an opportunity to create movement in our system. And so the goal, that our number one priority with these EHVs is to help people that are already experiencing homelessness, that are connected to your agencies, to help them move into this supportive housing while opening up more spaces within your programs for people who could benefit from it. So at this point, there is no client-driven process for accessing an EHV. It all works through the agencies.
I think the biggest thing to remember too, though, is that if you do the referral for them, you have to case manage them. You can't then call upon another agency to case manage that client for the next 12 months.
Right.
And that is exactly right.
Yeah. When you read the policy, you'll see that for you to make the referral also means your agency is willing to make that case management available for 12 months.
I do also want to add one thing. Nick had mentioned that it is a residency requirement, and I kind of looked at SHAs to see that if they had residency requirements that they do. So that's kind of pulled from that. But he stated that if they have to be in Service Point for 6 months, they do not have to be in Service Point for 6 months only. If a client is in Service Point, a minimum of 6 months back, but a client could have been in Springfield as a resident prior to that, been homeless, maybe been couch surfing for the last couple of months. anything that we can come up with to get at least 6 months residency requirements or, verification is also allowable. I am going to say that Nick is not going to be checking that. I'm not going to be checking that. Josh is probably not going to be checking that. It's going to be up to the agencies because, I mean, really, we need to help the people that are currently here and not just random people that are showing up because they found out we have vouchers left or, so it's going to be up to whomever is going to case manage this person to actually make the determination are they a Springfield resident or did they just like hop on the bus from Bloomington to come down here?
Yeah.
And there's multiple avenues, I guess you can look at to find residency requirements. So if they were not homeless a year ago, but they got behind on their utility bills. So, if there's an outstanding utility bills, if, there could be outstanding something from a year ago, and that's in the courts, and there's multiple different areas. And I guess if you have questions, we can always, as they present, deal with them. If you wanted to give any one of us three a call or a text or a message or whatever, we can, help you with that.
Thanks, Tracy. Any other questions we might be able to ask by chance or answer by chance?
All right, the files are there in the chat for the program strategy. We'd ask that you would read through that first, and then the application is in the chat as well. As Tracy said, if your organization doesn't have a moving up program set up in HMIS, first step would be to connect with her as soon as possible. But we are opening up this application process today. So you can start making these referrals. Our hope is to have all 37 of our vouchers in process by the end of February. So we're really hoping that agencies can step up and help get clients into housing through these pathways in the next several weeks. We're going to send this video and these files out to the whole general membership list. So if you're on that general membership list, you're going to see those. If you're not on that general membership list, get on our general membership list, please join us or connect with Nick and I. We'll be happy to get everything to you. All right. Well, Nick, thanks for all the work you put into this presentation and the work you're doing as housing navigator with EHVs. Tracy, thank you for everything you're doing on the HMIS side. We appreciate you. And for agencies, thank you so much for partnering with us and using this resource, this unique resource to help connect people with housing as quickly as possible. So we're excited about what this is going to mean for some of our neighbors who can really benefit from these services and this housing. So reach out if you have any questions, but thank you for joining us today.